Good evening. It is I, Roncar, and it is my pleasure to be with you in this evening. Yes, the little one has said it all. It is the joyous time of year when the preparations are still coming. But if you are in the right head for the celebration, even the preparations can be so enjoyable that you are busy, but you are contemplating all the happiness that busyness is creating. Because you may still be shopping for presents, you may be wrapping presents, you may be buying gift cards or writing checks for money and getting money from the bank and putting in envelopes as gifts. Does not matter what you are doing. You do what you think is most important for the people that you are giving these gifts to. And this is a sign of your love, a sign of your regard and your respect for people in your life, that you offer them gifts, give them gifts, and wish them well at this time of year. Yes, it is a happy season, and you should be looking at all the things you do as just creating the happiness that you want. See your presence enjoyed and welcomed. See your gifts of love in that way. And that makes you happy because you are now serving and pleasing others. It is amazing sometimes how much pleasure you can get by serving others, by doing things for others, by giving gifts to others. Perhaps you have sent out some charitable contributions as an effort to help others who would be less fortunate or in need of help. And so this also gives you pleasure. And you are now enjoying your life. It is increased and better in every day. And it will continue till the end of the year when you welcome in the new year with fanfare and gaiety, happiness and joy. You may or may not stay up till the turn of the year. You may go to sleep early, it does not matter. Perhaps your evening will be quiet, but it will still be a celebration because you have determined that it is so. And that is what is the most important thing in your life. For you to be the determining factor. You don't always have control over things, but you have control over how you will act and react when things happen to you. And at these opportunities of this season, which tradition makes it a wonderful time to come together. And so the act of serving others, preparing food, giving money, doing things for others is often what causes you and gives you the greatest happiness. And as I had said, you are the one who is in control of how you react, how you act. How do you want things to be? Because you have the choice to view things in the ways that make you happy or You can cause your own unhappiness by choosing to interpret words or actions of others in such a way that you allow yourself to feel not good. And it is important to know that it is the greatest lesson that you can do in life. How you think about things determines how your life goes. And I hope through this holiday season that you have enjoyment in your life, that you are happy and you enjoy every minute and find opportunities to give love and receive love. You have opportunities to smile and be happy. You have opportunities to give joy and happiness to others. And so I wish you a happy holiday. A merry and a happy is one way of saying it. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So now, who has a question for me in this evening? Does anyone have a question?
I do. I'm wondering how to ease up on my self-critic. My mind is full of self-criticism and criticism of others too.
Well, once again, it is exactly as I have just spoken. It is within your control, but you have to actively decide not to be critical. That when you find yourself being critical of yourself or others, that you say something such as, cancel that thought. I am not going to think that in the moment, and try to come up with a statement to counteract, that is not the word.
Counteract.
Counteract, thank you very much. It was two words. To counteract the thought that you sent out. You wish to cancel that from it ever having an effect in the atmosphere, in the life around you.
Mm-hmm.
Because your critical thought on yourself or someone else goes out into the ethers. And if you continue to be critical of yourself or others, it finds situations and things that reflect the critical thoughts you are having, especially towards yourself. And it makes them manifest within your life. So if you are going to be critical by saying, I am a bad housekeeper, my home is never clean, you can be sure that your home is never clean and that you will never catch up on the housework you have to do. Because in your thoughts, you have connected with a housework with distaste and things you don't like or you don't wish to do. You would rather do other things or not much of things. Maybe you're not too active and you would rather spend more time meditating than cleaning the floors or vacuuming or dusting or putting away your clothes or doing the laundry. Any of those things, you perhaps have done that with distaste. And so what happens is that your house stays that way. because you never learn to like it. You don't get the attitude which says, I like doing dishes. And you wash your dishes and you put them away, you dry them, you put them away, and you tidy your kitchen. And you say, this looks wonderful. I always clean up after myself. I take care of my things. I do the laundry. You fold things promptly. You may or may not iron, but you put them away because you desire to have neat, tidy clothes. And so you don't think that this is work to do, but you think this is the way you get to have a beautiful wardrobe, by always taking care of your clothes, by washing them, by ironing them or folding them, so that your clothes are always pressed and nice looking. And then you look better. And you think that you are feeling good because the clothes you are wearing flatter you and they are so neat and clean, and you enjoy that look. So this is what you need to do to stop being critical, is to cancel that thought. And don't say anything about yourself that is negative. Set up a regular time to give praise to yourself, to say that you are beautiful, to say that you are to say that you are competent, to say that you are smart, to say that you have talents, to say that you are God, to say that you are a healer, to say, I am a healer, I am God, I am smart, I am clean, I am tidy, I take care of my things, I enjoy my housework. I enjoy making things wonderful around myself. So I enjoy myself, and I am worthy, and I am deserving of having a life that is filled with beautiful things. And you need to make up these kind of statements that I am, and say all things good about yourself. Anything you can think of, even if you don't feel that way at all times. You begin the practice of stating how good you are and how perfect your life is. And that is how you get over being too critical, by taking an inventory of your talents and your abilities, by thinking about the good things that you do, and not allowing yourself to think critical things about yourself or others. And you can only do that by making that cancel thought when it comes into mind, or say, I am not thinking that, I am not saying that, and then say something in a different way to make the situation correct. It takes monitoring, but after a while, and it only takes a week or two, you will have less occasion to cancel a thought or a word or a saying. Cancel that word that I just said. Cancel that statement that I thought. All is well. They did the best they could. And that's what you have to remember about yourself. You always do the best that you can. That's all you're capable of doing. And sometimes you may think it was enough, and sometimes you may think it was not enough, but it was the best that you could do. And that makes it easy to forgive yourself for mistakes you have made in the past and current. With that understanding, you always do the best that you can. It doesn't matter that you could have done better. You were doing the best that you could do at that moment. And you have to accept that. And you have to accept that the people you are critical of are also doing the best that they can at that point in time when they did whatever you are being critical of. It was the best that they could do. So these thoughts
Thank you.
tend to make you much happier and make your life better. But it does take a little bit of monitoring and a little bit of time, and eventually you get out of the habit of being critical of yourself and others. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Roncar.
I hope it's helpful to you.
It is.
Are there other questions?
Hi, Roncar.
Yes.
So conceptually, in the world of peace, which is what we strive for, the concept of world and global peace, not personal peace, it would seem to me to be impossible, because as long as there is a human element involved, there is always one amongst many that wants one thing more than someone else, or one that wants to be in control spirit-wise. Not necessarily, this is not talking about people right now, but human entities. And I don't see, unless something is bred out of us, there being a gene removed or something removed so that people are happy being equal. Not equal opportunity, but equality, two different things. Because with equality, the concept is that everyone is treated with the same whatever, but equal opportunity is the problem. There's always, every study that I've ever heard, in Russia, they did a study in 1983 where they left 20 children in a room. Each one had a coin, came back an hour later, and 2 kids had all the coins. So the point being is that if you talk about the global peace that I've heard you refer to, I don't see how that's possible unless the equal opportunity edge is somehow, we find peace, and that is then removed from us by hyper evolutionary status. That makes sense?
Yes, I understand your question. And the fact that in a room full of 25 people or 30 people, children, each one was given a coin, and you come back later and you find that one person has all the coins or 2 people have all the coins, is not a statement on saying it's impossible to bring about greater peace, because it is entirely possible that for some of those children, that coin had no value, and so they did not care that another child wanted it. They gave it away peacefully. And there were probably some children in that situation. They didn't care. They did not know perhaps the value, or it wasn't enough for them to want to fight for. So they gave up their coins. And some of them may have been bullied to give up their coins. But you see, everyone reacts differently. And it isn't something that can be taken away from you by modifying a gene, but it needs to be taught to you. And you need to think about it. And you need to want peace and create peace in your life. And while you disregard you did not want to bring in personal peace is achieved not just alone, but with other people. Because you cannot, well, you can. They called them hermits, people who move away from civilization so that they do not have to deal with others, so they can create peace in their life. But you can create peace in your life and be in peaceful relationships with many, many people at the same time, even hundreds, even thousands, which you may not even know. But simply by sending out love and peaceful thoughts across the world, you are contributing to peace. And by having a life in which you are peaceful within yourself, while you continue to interact with the rest of the world in a peaceful manner, these things, these talents, these abilities, because that is not a talent for peace. It is what you are demonstrated by your going up, by your parents. It is, you learn your attitudes from the adults around you. You learn your attitudes from your teachers. And so you are educated and guided into whatever state you are at. Now, if you can be educated to be not peaceful, you can also be educated to be peaceful and to get along with other people and not desire things that are not yours. That is why the 10 Commandments, in their simplicity, covered most of the acts that people had to interface with, deal with on a daily basis for themselves and others. If they were taught these things, if all people were taught these things, and all people chose to live by these commandments, there would be great peace in the world. So there is the knowledge how to create peace and how to have a good life. And that is simply by following the 10 Commandments. Of course, some of the commandments in the beginning have to do with your personal approach to God and what you think of as God and how you think of God. And so you may not have to worry about those two that they have in the beginning, but you have the rest. And the rest of the things that are the laws in Exodus, if you choose to read the Bible, they give you guidance for living a good and happy life. But people have to choose to follow this guidance. It, as I have just said to the last lady, that to not be critical of herself, the way to stop being critical of yourself is to cancel that thought and not allow it to come out of your mouth or be formed in your head. You need to stop it and you need to think something else. And many times that thought is doing the best that he can is the one that might be calming you and enabling you to sort of forgive that person for being the way they are and to accept them as being the way they are. Now, I understand your point that there are people who have greed and who want to have power and want to be in control. And being in control and having power are normal parts of your being. And you do have power over yourself, and you are in control of yourself. But these people wish to exert it over others. And when it becomes, when everyone can embrace some of the guidance that comes from the religious teachings that will bring about peace if practiced among those who even claim to be their followers of these religious icons, but they do not follow. They choose to ignore. But they have that option. This is just the way it is. And so for you, in your life, you can create peace. And that is all you can do to contribute to peace to the world. You create your peace personally. And when you are in a peaceful relationship with everyone in your life, they will tend to be in a peaceful relationship with you, and also strive to have that same type of relationships within their families and within their friends, because they have a good relationship with you. One good relationship breeds more good relationships. And so it grows. And it has been said, I believe it is only 6, that everyone is 6 degrees of separation from nearly everyone else in the world. And it would be amazing the results that would happen if everyone embraced the thought, I want peace in my life, and I create peace in my life. I choose not to be critical of myself. I choose not to be critical of others, because not being critical helps you to be peaceful. And that is what you need to learn and understand. And while you cannot see that it is possible to that one person can create great peace, if someone were to take the initiative to decide that he or she wanted to increase peace in the world and started to talk about peace and write about peace and request peace and bring peace into the headlines and into the thought of all the people of the earth, they would make a difference. And more peace would be obtained. And perhaps it would even spread around the world. And the people, ordinary people, demand peace. But right now, your newspapers, magazines do like to have those exciting and exclusive stories of people fighting or people creating unhappiness for others in their lives because they choose to blame others for the way they are. And yes, you can blame others for the way you are, and you can blame others for a lack of peace in the world. But the truth is that it is entirely up to each individual, regardless of whatever the influences are in their lives, to investigate the things that would bring about happiness and peace for themselves. Many people would think that happiness is found in having all the coins that were available in that room full of kindergartners. But happiness is rarely obtained through lots of money. Many people have a great deal of money, but that comes about sometimes because they enjoy the work that brings them money. They have the attitude of work that results in more money in their lives. They are thrifty in their consciousness and don't feel a need to buy something they do not need. They do not listen to advertisements and be deluded into thinking that this can of peas, or this can of beer, or this box of candy will bring you happiness. They know that happiness is found in doing things that you like, not in obtaining things. And so they live happily with cars that are old, but still serviceable, in homes that are perfect for themselves, not mansions, not filled with art, not filled with things, because they have everything they want, because they're happy in what they do and their relationships. And so there will never be a gene splice that will make you happy with others unless it takes away your ability to think and you just want to follow the instructions of others as to how to be happy, which is to do my bidding, be under my control. These things will not be, because each individual is born with the potential to be happy, healthy, whole, and complete in every way. It just takes work, working to do that for yourself. And it's achievable by each person. But many people have to be told that it is their responsibility to create happiness for themselves. And happiness is found inside yourself, not in things. So I have spoken long enough on the subject.
So I have a follow-up on that. As you know, I have a gift that was given to me, and the gift is good, but the gift has been very funny in the last 2 years. I guess with COVID maybe. So I adopted 2 things: never lie and do unto others. It's very simple, and it works perfectly. But recently, in the past 2 years, it took me a while to figure it out, but I've been sent people, and without me knowing it, in the business that I'm in, it was just to do that, not make it hard, just do that. And sometimes it was like a crash landing for some of these people who were used to doing things a certain way, but I never had to say anything to them because that was not the way it was done. I was to show by doing and not saying ever, but just doing.
Actions.
And that's actually become very, very simple, because once I adopted these just two, it made my life so easy, because I didn't have to think about anything. You automatically knew, because those 2 policies pretty much cover everything. So I think I only discovered this a couple of times in probably the last year. that these big, tough men that were coming into my life that were used to wheeling and dealing, and I didn't preach, I didn't praise, I just was. And it's so funny because they're all coming around. I thought that was funny. So the gift has been, I have been given a really good gift. I'm very lucky because I have done what you said, and it has worked 100%.
Yes, creating peace and happiness in your life. And you have chosen to do it by the do unto others only as you would have them do unto you.
Well, in the world of real estate, as you know, it's very simple. You can do anything you want if you bring it down to the basic. If someone is cutting you off in the parking lot and you give them the spot, just let it happen. But the point is that if you adopt it in your conversation or your everyday life with people, how you treat them, you don't have to preach, but don't ever lie and do unto others. And I have to tell you, Roncar, it works perfectly.
Yes, it does. Having a personal, those two simple concepts of don't ever lie, treat people as you want to be treated, are perfect. And everyone, this is not a limited world where if I have something, you can't have it. You can have it too, because this world is unlimited. There's plenty of money to make everybody rich and happy. There's plenty of good health. There is just plenty that everyone can need. You don't run out of air, no matter how much you breathe, how much you pant, or how much you work at breathing. You cannot take air from everyone. There is always more than enough of everything for everybody. So why steal from someone else? Just some people think that there is something that they want that belongs to someone else, and that thing will make them happy. But things do not make you happy. As you know, happiness is found within you. So that is good. I am glad to hear of your great success. Are there other questions?
Well, do you know if there's ever been any person that came here to this earth and has been happy the whole time they're here?
Do I know any person who came on the earth who has been happy their entire life?
Yeah.
Well, since children have a lot to learn, and they are easily influenced by advertising and other things other people say, that statement is almost impossible to say that I could name someone who was 100% happy in their life. By the time they get to be adults, many of them are very happy and happy pretty much all the time. But since happiness is self-generated, again, I would have to say that even someone like Saint Teresa, she experienced deep torment in herself because she desired things that she didn't have or she didn't even really wish for. didn't want, but there was still some desire within her for some of these things. And so, if a saint can't be happy all the time, I suspect no one I could name would be happy all the time. But
That's
you can
what I was
certainly,
thinking, because you say we're supposed to come here and we're supposed to be happy, but nobody is. It just
yes,
doesn't stay, it just doesn't last. And even when you're happy, the situation somehow will change eventually anyways, and then you're not happy.
I understand what you are saying. And yes, you come here to be happy. This is why you have to reincarnate. Because it didn't work out the way you thought. You thought you had here, you were surrounded by material things, and you wanted, saw and wanted what other people have and things like that. So you, in your mind, created your own unhappiness.
Hmm. But we all do it. That's the problem.
Well, yes, but you do get over it.
So we come back and try again, huh?
Yes, you could come back and try again. But you could also get over it in one lifetime.
Well, like you said, when you're a child, all these things are influencing you, and not always in positive ways, because there's a whole bunch of negative stuff going on around you. And then by the time you grow up, and then you realize, well, all this stuff was not good, but then you have to go through the big process of trying to convince yourself to go the other way. You know, I mean, I always thought of this one story where this kid grew up in this family of thieves, and it was, I mean, he just did this stuff because that was the thing to do. He just accepted that that's was right, and it took him many years before, suddenly he said, well, that's not so good. you know but it's hard.
Yes, it's hard, but yet he did it.
For the most part,
Eventually,
eventually, yes. He was tormented more because he still loved his family, even though they were a bunch of thieves. you know
you're right, but he changed,
hmm
and he was still loved his family, and he
Yeah,
was
they
willing.
weren't so loving to him though.
Pardon?
They weren't so loving to him because I guess they were pissed off at him, because he was going out of the little group or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, yes, I understand, but it did not matter for him. He personally achieved the happiness that he originally came into this incarnation for.
Mm.
He changed, and he saw what he needed to do and how he needed to behave. And even though it lost him perhaps his relationship with his family, because he no longer would be a thief with them,
Mm-hmm.
he still achieved what he needed to achieve.
But he still wasn't totally happy, obviously,
He could have been,
because he still was on the outs with his family, and there was nothing he could really do about it.
but he still could love them, and he could
Oh
accept
yeah.
them if they were. So as a result, their being on the outs with him would not be painful. It would be understandable, because they could not see what he saw. They could not come to his realizations, but
Mm-hmm.
they were his family. And so the love would continue from him, even if they decided never to talk to him or see him again, because they were angry with him for changing. But he did what he felt was right. And so his happiness over what he did would be complete.
But
And
he's
what
still hurting. He's still hurting because he can't do anything about his family. So
do
it,
you
it
know,
pains him, and if he's living with pain, then he's not really happy. You know what I mean?
I understand what you think you mean,
Okay.
but you see, he would not necessarily be unhappy that they could not change. He, if he understood about being happy, he would realize that they are the way they are. And it is not what he wanted to be anymore. And so he would look at his life and be happy with what he had done. And while he might be somewhat sad that his family rejected him, in some ways it was easier for him being rejected. He would not see their thievery. He would only be able, he could be able to cherish the memories that he chose to remember and the thoughts he chose to remember. And so he could think of good times with his family and be still comfortable that they were no longer there. You know, sometimes it is better for you to not have a relationship with someone that does not help you to have a good relationship. And when he realized that being a thief was not the way to live your life, that his family would be happier if they would stop robbing other people and work a normal day and get a regular income rather than always having to worry about who they were going to rob, how they were going to rob, and if the police would catch up with them and put them in jail. So they were not happy in their life. And for him, it would be easier to not have constant connection with them because they could also cause him much hurt and much pain if they were caught as being robbers or thieves. And just the fact that he was related to them and he would continue to have a close relationship would make him be suspected.
Yes.
And so it sometimes was better not to have that relationship.
True.
But we are talking about an imaginary person here, are we not? Not a friend of yours?
Oh no, it's not a friend of mine. It was a story or a movie or something I saw, and I don't know if it was based on a real story or not, but it was just it impressed me because when he was growing up, it was just so normal to be doing all these things that, I'm looking at as horrifying, you know, and he it was just normal for them. It was like it's
Yes.
okay.
It was normal for them to be pickpockets.
Yeah, and worse. I mean, they did a lot worse. And I think when he was a teenager, when some of them got locked up, I think that's when he started thinking, well, wait a minute, they're getting locked up, they're getting put in jail. I think something was, registering there, whereas the other ones were saying, oh, it's all right, I'll be out in a few years. It was crazy.
Yes, well, that was a screenplay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was based on a real life story. I don't remember.
Yes.
Okay.
So much is in your control because it's all in your thoughts. It's the first law of the natural laws is everything is mental.
Yeah.
And so
Remember that.
being aware of that says it all. Everything is mental. So what you decide, what you think is what you're creating as your reality. And so if you think it's good to rob and steal and whatever else they did, then that is one thing. But it always has that very negative consequence of being caught and put in jail for a few years, whatever, or for the rest of your life or something like that. But everything is mental. So what you think something is what it is. So if you think that life is good out there the way it is, and that your friendships are valued and your relationships are valued, and you value them and they are important to you, they'll continue to be in your life because you will do what you have to do to maintain them. And it is up to you to decide what you want.
All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions? Well, it is close to our ending time anyway. It's coming up within a few minutes, 15. But so I will just take this opportunity to once again say that have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. May you have good times with many friends, and may you create many happy moments. And I give you my blessings. Good night.